Yeah, we back. Now, today's going to be a quick video. We're going to be talking about Ibrahim Traoré. Now, shout out to the big homie. You know, he made a statement today in the media that I got to address, that I got to acknowledge, right? Now, first things first, before I get started, I just got to say, when it comes to Pan-Africanism, Ibrahim Traoré, the captain, he's the most powerful black man in the section. Now, of course, we have a lot of different black men in different sectors, right? We got black men in the skilled trades. We got black men in the medical field. We got black men in business, finance. We got black men who are lawyers and doctors, business owners, etc., etc. And of course, we got the black men who are scholars and intellectuals. But when it comes to Ibrahim Traoré, the reason why I say he's the most powerful black man in the section is because that is a black man who is the head of state, commander-in-chief of a national army. That's one of our big dogs in the faction. And of course, we cannot forget Assimi Goïta, right? He the real commander-in-chief. He the president of the entire confederation. And he the one that popped it off. And I really truly believe that when Ibrahim Traoré was still a captain in the military and he seen President Assimi Goïta rise to power, take power, and then expel the French military, expelled the French diplomacy, and even though at that time he was still standing alone, he was still standing on sovereignty. And then we seen him duck and dodge the assassination attempts when he got stabbed up at the mosque, right? And then to have the courage to rearrange his country's entire foreign policy, which, as we already know, was locked in place for so many years and so many decades. I think that gave Ibrahim Traoré the fire in his heart to step out of the shadows and become the man we see him being today. So when it comes to me, I'm gonna always salute, you know, the commander-in-chief of the Confederation, Assimi Goïta. Now, today I want to talk about a statement that President Captain Ibrahim Traoré made today in the media. Now, of course, as we know, just a couple weeks ago, dodged a major overthrow attempt, had a level 4 travel advisory on his government put out by the United States government. And of course, we've seen the controversy between General Michael Langley and certain statements that he made. And, you know, it's been causing a lot of, buzz on the media, on the social media. So today he came out and made a statement, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, take a look up on the screen. He said, "I express my gratitude to all the patriots and Pan-Africanists who love peace and freedom, who are strongly mobilized this Wednesday, April 30th, across the world to support our commitment and our vision for a new Burkina Faso and a new Africa free from imperialism and neocolonialism. Your active solidarity and the demonstration of sympathy are a catalyst that strengthens our conviction about the justice of the fight we are waging for a fair, more equitable world. We will never bow down in the face of adversity. We will remain standing until the true emancipation of our people. With you, we are certain that victory over the forces of evil is very close. Together and in solidarity, we will triumph over imperialism and neocolonialism for a free, dignified, and sovereign Africa." Now, when I seen that earlier today, I was like, man, I don't want to hear nothing else from any enemies or detractors of Pan-Africanism. I don't want to hear nothing. We got one of the most powerful black men in the world, and he representing for the faction. So listen, I don't want to hear nothing else. We on a whole different level. You see, the Pan-Africanists have elevated to a whole different stratosphere, right? We controlling governments and commanding militaries. We controlling the gold mines that Mansa Musa had. We on a whole different level with it, bro. We taking the gold back. We stockpiling the gold. We building refineries. The Pan-Africanists on a whole different level. Whole different type of time. We got drones flying in the sky. I mean, come on, bro. I'm not trying to hear nothing. But anyways, when it comes to me, it's only 4 flags that I bang. It's only 4 flags that I pledge allegiance to, right? Number 1, the red and black for Dessalines. Number 2, the red and black for Christophe. Number 3, the AES, the Alliance to the Sahelian States. And number 4, yes, of course, the red, black, and green for that Marcus Garvey. So when it comes to me, those are the 4 flags that I bang. Now, for those of y'all that have been following my channel, then you know for at least 2.5 years, I've been heavily documenting and covering all of the latest updates coming out of the AES. And in fact, I would say I'm one of the biggest in the game. They need to give me a diplomatic passport, first of all. Shout out to my brothers. And I know they watching the channel. Yeah, I know they watching the show. But yeah, man, I've been here since the beginning. I was here when the captain came out of nowhere, and I was like, yo, who is this dude? Because at first, I sit back and watch. I don't jump on any bandwagon. I don't jump on any wave, right? I got to sit back and I got to watch. I got to watch your foreign policy. I got to watch your domestic policy. I got to watch your military policy. I got to sit back and watch the moves you make before I can really, give the cosign of the endorsement. Now, first things first, we got to take it back to the beginning. We got to take it back to the end of 2022 when the captain first came to power. Now, at the time, we didn't know what was coming, right? But take a look up on the screen. At this very moment, it was up. At this very moment, it was up for the enemy. Now, take a look up on the screen. Earlier Sunday, religious leaders who had mediated between the factions said that Damiba had offered his resignation as long as his security and other conditions were met. A representative later announced on state TV that their leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, officially has been named head of state following the Friday coup that ousted Damiba. Now, we got to talk about who was, I'm not going to call him the president, but who was Damiba, right? The soldier, Damiba. This guy right here, we got to talk about him real quick. Now, back when he came to power, because I have discernment, I just knew he was counterfeit. I knew he was fraudulent. I never gave him the endorsement. I never gave him the cosign. I never ever was behind this guy because I knew something was funny in the water. Even the brother in the back, take a look at him. He already knew, nah, this ain't it. Nah, this ain't it. This guy, he not the one. But of course, he probably got a wife, probably got kids, probably got 5, 6, 7, 8 kids. You know, them brothers back in Africa, they going crazy with the birth rate. So, of course, he got to come to work. He got to do his job. But you could tell by the look on his face, he knew Damiba was a fraud. But of course, he just here to get money. He just got to get paid. He got to pay his bills. I feel you, bro. But I knew this guy, he not it. He not the one. Now, when Ibrahim Traoré came to power, at first, I was just sitting back and watching, right? Because to me, a prerequisite for me to support or endorse any of these military governments in the Sahel, the first thing you had to do was expel the French military. That had to be the first order of business. If you wasn't expelling the French military, if you wasn't canceling the cooperation agreements in the area of military and security, I was not going to endorse your government. I was not. To me, that was the stamp of authenticity. You told the white Frenchman, listen, go back to your country. That's when I'm on board. That's when I got on board. You had to follow in the footsteps and the foundation and the footprints laid by President Assimi Goïta. Yes, you have to cancel the military agreement with France. Number one, first things first, right? Now, the captain came to power, I think, around October 2022. By January 2023, within weeks, within months, take a look up on the screen, Burkina Faso confirms it has ended the French military accord. At that very moment, brother, I'm rocking with your team, baby. I'm rocking with you, bro. I'm down with the team. I'm down with the squad. I'm in. All hands on deck. And when it comes to me and the white Frenchman, we got ancestral beef. We got beef that's everlasting. This beef never gonna die. So, of course, I've been invested from the beginning. Now, going back to the previous president, Damiba, who Captain Ibrahim Traoré kicked out the country, he was no different than the so-called democratically elected leaders in the fancy suit, in the suit and tie, right? He was no different. Only difference with him was he was wearing the military fatigues. But when it came to the foreign policy, when it came to the military policy, he did not change anything. The French were not, scrambling and panicking because they knew this guy was not going to shake the table. He was not shaking the table, right? He was not canceling the military agreements. He was not trying to rearrange the contracts. He was a stable figurehead at the time, right? Macron didn't really have a problem with Damiba, right? But as you see with Captain Ibrahim Traoré, they've been scrambling, they've been jumping up and down, they've been panicking. And I think one of the craziest diplomatic incidents of this generation that for some reason has somehow flown under the radar was when back in December 2023, about a year after he came to power, Captain Ibrahim Traoré had arrested 4 French intelligence agents who are part of the DGSE. And the DGSE is the French equivalent of the CIA. And he had them detained in Burkina Faso for a year. And he did not release them and grant them their freedom until the French government came up off millions of dollars. I'm talking about tens of millions of dollars. And the Western media buried the story. The only place they reported the story was in the French media behind the paywall. And I had to pay money just to make a video on it. I had to pay the $2 to go behind the paywall so I could do a reaction video for the people. And they buried the story. One of the craziest stories in diplomatic history. Take a look up on the screen, right? We got to go back in the timeline. December 20th, 2023, Burkina Faso detains 4 French civil servants, says diplomatic source. Now, at first, they did not come out in the media and say these were 4 French intelligence agents who were conducting espionage on behalf of the French government. They said these were civil servants. These were men who worked at the embassy. These were computer technicians. They were using all type of different random professions before they just came out and came clean and said, yes, these were intelligence agents conducting an operation against the government of Burkina Faso, the administration of Ibrahim Traoré. And unfortunately, they got caught and they have been arrested and they have been detained for months and months and months, right? Now, fast forward September 2024. Over 9 months later, negotiations over the French intelligence agents held in Burkina Faso are at a standstill. Accused of espionage and attempting to destabilize the regime of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 4 men have been held in Ouagadougou for more than 9 months. Now, fast forward to December 2024. After a year, Burkina Faso releases 4 French nationals after detaining them for a year. Now, back in January, the French media actually released a lot of exclusive details in regards to how those French agents received their liberation, right? How would they detain? What were the plans to get them free? And at one point, the French government had actually contemplated invading Burkina Faso from the air, an air assault from a neighboring country. But they got that entire article behind the paywall. You got to pay like $2 to get the article. I paid that money just to make a video on it. In fact, I documented the entire series, right? Take a look up on the screen. Over a year ago, 4 French spies arrested in Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traoré received 60 million euros to liberate the French secret agents. And then, of course, the French media reacts to Ibrahim Traoré receiving 60 million for the French spies. Now, in that article, they broke down all the negotiations between the French government. Actually, it wasn't any direct negotiations, actually. Morocco was actually used as a mediator because they said Ibrahim Traoré was militarily trained in Morocco, and Morocco has been recently rebuilding its relationship with France. So Morocco served as a bridge between the French government and the administration of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. And one of his requirements in order to liberate the French spies was he had asked for a crazy number at first, if you remember. He had asked for 150 million euros. And I believe they came to a final agreement of 60 million euros and the transfer of some equipment. They didn't really say what the equipment was, but it was a transfer of some unknown equipment, as well as 60 million euros. Now, to me, that's one of the craziest diplomatic incidents of this generation, right? You have a young head of state, young black man, got 4 secret agents of the French government detained inside his country in a secret location. The French government don't know where they at. He got them locked up for a year, right? Can't even see their family, locked up in a room. And the thing that disgusted me the most, the part that disgusted me the most was how in that article, they described how the French intelligence actually was devising a plan to invade Burkina Faso from the air from a neighboring country to rescue their colleagues, to rescue the intelligence agents that were arrested, right? But you got to understand, those men were detained in the city center, like in the major city area, right? So the French government was actually contemplating conducting, I don't know, an airstrike in the middle of the city center where the civilians are just doing their, going about their day and doing their business, right? How can you tell me these men are not our enemies when you see how casually they talk about spilling blood? They were the ones that sent those agents to the country. They were the ones that came to the country under fraudulent pretenses. They didn't even have any passports. They didn't even have proper documentation. That's why they were arrested at first, because they were moving around the country with no papers, no documentation, as illegal aliens, conducting intelligence operations, taking photos of military installations, taking photos of government buildings. They went through their phone. Those guys was taking photos of all type of sensitive sites in the country. Listen, man, I'm going to attach the links to all those videos where I talked about the entire situation of those French intelligence agents. Listen, the link in the description. Go check out those videos if you haven't. But yeah, man, shout out to my boys, man. You already know when it comes to me, Neferkari Dessalines. Yes, I pledge allegiance to the Confederation, as well as the 3 other flags that I mentioned before. Like I said, I don't want to hear nothing from the detractors of Pan-Africanism. I don't want to hear nothing. Y'all don't got no head of state. You ain't got no European intelligence agents locked down, detained. Nah, I don't want to hear nothing. You ain't breaking the French government for multiple millions of dollars. I don't want to hear nothing. The Pan-Africanists putting points up on the board, man. I don't want to hear nothing. One of the most powerful, beloved black men on the planet, and he the figurehead for the faction. Listen, man, like I said before, it was at this very moment. Take a look up on the screen. It was at this very moment. It was up. It was at this very moment. Ever since then, the enemy hasn't been able to sleep at night, right? We ain't even got to talk about Mali and Niger. We already know what happened in Niger when we took the uranium mines back. French multinational corporation went bankrupt in less than 6 months. The company collapsed in less than 6 months. They had to come back and start back up from the bottom and go to Kazakhstan and Malaysia and cut deals for the uranium over there. My God, listen, we on a whole different level with it right now. We on a whole different level. And listen, this off topic, but for those of y'all that listen to the album Sahel 1816, right? Check out the album. Go to my homepage, go to my playlist section. If you listen to track 2, Secret Location, I gave a shout out to President Goita and President Chiani. I was like, feel like a see me, I feel like Chiani. African gold, it's all over my body. Feel like a see me, I feel like Chiani. African gold, it's all over my body. African diamonds adorning my fingers. African kid when you look at my features. Now, like I said, man, when it comes to the AES, I am really about this life. I'm really about that life, man. So shout out to my boys, man. Shout out to the captain. Shout out to Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Shout out to the president of the Confederation, President Assimi Goïta, Commander-in-Chief. Shout out to President Chiani, the commander of the uranium mines. Yes, indeed. Now, anyways, man, it's your boy Neferkari. That's Celine back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash App in the description. Support the channel. Support the album. Sahel 1816. Go to my homepage. Go to my playlist section. Enjoy the album. And I'm gone. Peace.
Took on my losses and now I got racks. Took on my losses and made that shit back. Platinum and gold, I need plenty of plaques. Making my enemies empty the stash. Feel like Assimi, I feel like Chiani. African gold is all over my body. African diamonds adorning my fingers. African kid when you look at my features. Enemy watching, I gotta get paid. Enemy watching and stalking my page. Watching my moves and they study my waves. Copy my energy, riding my wave. Enemy watching me like an obsession. Order for king, I don't need no acceptance. No, they gon' try but can't stop the progression. No, they gon' try but can't stop the ascension. Foot on the gas and I gotta go hard. Straight to the top, I've been down for too long. Plotting revenge, I'ma make them regret it. Ain't no more talking, I got too much leverage. Talking uranium, diamonds and gold. Keep that shit real, I wish death on my foes. Keep that shit real, I ain't blocking my blessings. Stacking my profit and then I invest it. Feeling untouchable, energy sacred. When I pull up, know my enemies hate. Setting up shop at a secret location. Chopper gon' sound like a standing ovation. Moving in silence, I never been regular. One of a kind, I ain't got no competitor. Son of a king, I'm the kingdom inheritor. Do what I want, I don't care what you telling us. Say to myself, me and my team. Walk in the spot, but they knowin' my name. Beautiful passenger, bet she gon' ride. Keep it authentic, I'm never gon' change. Always been solid, I'm built to survive. Gotta stay focused, I'm deep in the game. Never surrender, I got too much pride. Took on my losses and stayed in my lane.